Hello, folks. Here we are, another Saturday Night Live, November 9th, 2019. And we have a special guest today, Nora. Hello, Nora.
Hi, hello, Masterclass family.
How you doing?
I'm good. I'm really good. How are you guys?
Good.
Very good, thank you.
Super.
So, what's happening in life for you now? In Italy?
I'm in Italy. Yeah, I'm in Tuscany. I'm in the Chianti region, in one of the most beautiful places on earth, I think.
Bella Italia. Yeah, it's lots of
Yeah,
nice places to see in Italy, that's for sure.
yeah, absolutely.
Bottom to the top.
Thi- This is by far one of my favorite, definitely. Yeah.
I don't think I've been in Tuscany. But anyway, there's always a new place to visit.
Oh,
Florence.
well, welcome. Yeah, I have a guest room here, so whenever you want to come. Yeah.
So that's where you live now?
Yeah, so I've moved here about 6 months ago, um, and just because I just fell in love with the place, and I'm in the middle of the forest. I live on my own. I can just immerse myself in nature every day,
Ah,
which is the reason why I moved here. So, and I can work online, so I can live wherever, which is a massive privilege for me,
yeah.
especially given all my lifestyle changes and so on that really brought me to this point where I have to be in nature. I can't stay in a city more than a week. It's too much.
Everybody feels better in nature, and I wonder why.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah, completely.
So
Yeah.
maybe you want to tell us a little bit about your background, and growing up a bit, and eventually how you came to find the crazy people in Masterfast.
Yeah. Indeed, I remember so well. At the moment when I found the website, I was like, "Who are these people? Are they normal?"
Oh,
Yeah, which obviously they're not, which is the best thing ever. Who wants to be normal? Not me, at least. But yeah, so I guess I mean, where should I start? I'm 28 now, and I started this journey 2 years ago, a little bit more than 2 years ago.
Can you tell us a little bit more about like your background
Yeah,
and
before that. Yeah, so as I was mentioning, so my mother is Finnish and my father is Italian. I was born in Finland and then I moved to Italy quite immediately. And I grew up in Italy until I was 14, and then I lived 6 years in Finland. And then after I went to university in London, where I lived for about 5, 6 years. And then the last 3 years I came back to Italy. And what else? So I think I've always felt like a bit of an outsider. I'm a Pisces, I don't know. So I'm a bit weird, I guess. And I mean, even just this bilingual, like being bilingual, being from not like one specific place, always kind of made me feel like I didn't really belong anywhere. And that's always like stayed with me. And for a while, it also kind of brought a bit of issues of identity issues, I guess. So I've always been kind of on a search to understand who I am as a person. It's been really an important part of my life. And then in terms of like how I grew up, um, I've I've always lived in cities until like about a year ago. Actually, a year and a half ago. I always lived in cities, so in Milan and then in Helsinki and then in London. So I love cities. I thought, living in a city was just the best thing ever. And until I think I got into this health journey more. So my mom fortunately brought me up in a very well with a very like homeopathic and spiritual approach, always making me understand that if I was sick or ill, you know, I had to, well, she was always saying that it was coming from the mind. So like instead of giving me medication or, you know,
Awesome.
antibiotics. Yeah. I have to say I've been really lucky on that.
That's rare. These,
Yeah, no, that was really cool. And like even the way she fed me, it was, you know, never giving me candies or sweets, but giving me a carrot instead, or take an apple. And so I actually, which I loved, I grew up loving fruits and vegetables. And because I was living in Italy, I was also quite exposed to good quality fruits and vegetables, like, you know, local. And although, I mean, we lived in Milan, so it's not that we had a farmer who was giving us everything. But there's a but. My dad is a baker, and my brother now has a restaurant in central Milan. So I mean, food has always been an important part of the family. From the Italian side, obviously, you know, don't take away food from an Italian's life. They're gonna kill you. It's crazy. It's crazy. Yeah. I've had to deal with that quite a lot. But yeah, so I think, I mean, I grew up actually eating pasta and bread when I was younger.
your mother
But then
prepared
when
your
sorry?
food? Who prepared the food?
Actually, mainly me and my brother, because my mom's not a really good cook.
Oh, really?
Yeah, my mom's not so into making food. I mean, she's good at making big salads and some things, but yeah, she's a vegetarian. So
Her whole life?
although now she's kind of sorry.
For most of her life?
Yeah, since she was 16, I think, or 14. Yeah, because she used to, well, she still rides horses, horseback riding. So I think she saw a horse being put down, and that made her go completely vegetarian. But she does eat fish every now and then, so I think she's a pescatarian. That would be the correct term. But I ate meat until I think I was 18, probably. But yeah, I think when I was 18, I just decided like stop eating meat. And until I was 14, I would, well, eat a kind of classic Mediterranean diet. But I remember having a really good relationship with food, and just like not eating much. Well, at the time, maybe I thought it was a really good relationship with food, but I really remember that food was never a way to make myself feel like covering emotions. I didn't ever go to that kind of came after actually. But yeah, when I moved to Finland, my diet obviously changed a lot because I was living in a country where people don't eat pasta every day. And also the pasta was really bad there. And then also what happened mainly, because I moved there with my mom, I my mom wasn't really someone that would cook and want to sit down and have routines around food. She was a bit more like, you know, eat whenever you want, or just, and then also she wasn't really around. So I kind of lost that routine aspect of meals, which at the beginning, a while ago, I thought it was really bad. I thought, yeah, I thought it didn't help me growing up. But I think what I thought what was really bad was more like losing the social aspect of sitting down with my mom and, you know, having a conversation. But yeah, and then I stopped eating pasta and I started eating more like rye bread instead of any you know, white flours and so on. And so I started developing intolerance to white flours. And also I stopped eating meat because my mom would never buy me a steak. And I wasn't really good at cooking it neither, so I just stopped eating that kind of food. Dairy is also in Finland, dairies are way more processed than they are in Italy. So very often people have intolerances to dairies much more than they would in Italy, for instance, like, or people that have intolerances in Finland can actually have dairies in Italy, which is interesting. But I was never a big fan of dairies. I was never a big fan of sweets neither. But then eating less of those made me more sensitive to them in Italy. So every time I was going back, I was having, maybe some bread and maybe some pasta, and I would just feel what I call gluten hangover. It was crazy. And then just became less tolerant to all those foods, which was great, obviously. But then I also, when I was a teenager, I developed an eating disorder. As you know, I mean, we all have an eating disorder. You guys finally say that, and I could honestly, when you said it, I was like, thank you, thank you. Someone finally has the gut or the courage as well to say that, and I think it's really important. But obviously, you need to be careful when to say, because not everyone accepts it. But yeah, developing an eating disorder obviously created a lot of pressure and difficulty around food. I became also quite obsessed for being skinny, because I think I got more engagement and more, maybe because I like my body more, but I thought that the skinnier I was, the better I was, obviously, which is fucked up, but it's crazy because it becomes very obsessive. And obviously then after a while realizing that it was, it wasn't about being skinny, it was about other stuff, about, doing emotional work, traumas and so on. And but that was really obsessive for me for quite a while, and it was quite tough to kind of work with. And I think sometimes I also fell into depression every now and then when I was a teenager. And then I lived in Finland for 6 years. I went to school there, and which was interesting. It was a really big experience. An Italian girl growing up in central Milan, then going to Finland where it's freaking cold, and not just the weather, but even people are really cold, and the culture is really different from Italy. Finland is a quite peculiar country. I know there's quite a few Finnish people on the Masterclass system group, and that's great. I think maybe even more Finnish people than Italians, which is interesting. But yeah, and then I lived in Finland six years, and then I moved to London because I had enough of Finland. And I mean, the climate was very intense, I think. Not even the cold weather, but just the darkness. And I really saw how it affects the body so much, the lack of light. I don't know how it is in Canada if you have really short days in the winter as well.
Extremes.
Yeah.
Extreme
Yeah.
hot and long days in the summer, and then extreme cold and short days in the summer and the winter.
Yeah. Yeah, it's intense. It can be quite intense, especially for me growing up in Italy, where at the end of February, the spring was starting. So, and so then I lived there for 6 years, and then I ran away from Finland. I was young as well. I mean, I'm still young, but I needed stimulation. I wanted a city with more people. With Finland kind of felt a bit boring, especially after 6 years. And then I started also kind of noticing a lot of the societal issues. Alcoholism is quite big there. People really drink a lot, and they repress a lot their emotions, and then through alcohol they kind of bring them out in a quite unhealthy way. and then the coldness between people, really the repression of emotions was something that I felt was like really difficult to deal with sometimes. And then then I moved to London when I was 20, and I went to university there, and I've always been a very intuitive person. I'm someone who just like my gut, my tummy says something, and I just can't do differently. I have to follow, even if everyone's saying no, you shouldn't do it. I need to just follow it. So I went to London and decided to study sociology, and I went and then did my master's there as well in something that is called critical theory, which not many people probably know, but it's really cool. I'm so happy I studied it. It's basically it encompasses, I did gender studies. I kind of majored in gender studies, so feminist theory, then post-colonial theory, cultural studies. So it really gives you the tools to study what's going on in the world through philosophical theories. So someone like Noam Chomsky, are you familiar with him? Well, he's a critical theorist. It's the subject they used to create the intellectuals one day, but intellectuals are not really needed anymore. And so you don't really get a job very easily by studying this. But what it did, it really, also my degree in sociology, which I jumped into because I needed to do self-therapy. It was a very self-therapeutic academic path for me, because I was lost. I thought I didn't belong anywhere, so I needed to understand what identity means, and then with critical theory, gender studies and everything, it kind of brought me to look at the world not from the stories that are told to us, but through the stories that are untold in some ways. So it kind of really, and then I'm a person that I really like investigating. I really like, I don't accept something being said just by, even by Eugene. Sometimes I'm like, no, I need to try that. I need to see if this is actually true.
Yeah.
Which then makes me kind of experiment things as well. And but it really opened my mind. Like it was just amazing. I was enjoying studying it so much, and I love studying, and that I would just have this moment of like ecstasy sometimes, of being like, oh my God, I've realized the meaning of the word of life and so on. But then towards the end of it, I also realized how mental it was. It was mental masturbation completely, like, which my mind just loved. Getting all into this like abstract concept, and like very ungrounded as well, because you just, philosophizing can be really cool and it can really help sometimes, but I think it gets a bit too much sometimes. And then the information that you get there doesn't get grounded. So and then I started kind of noticing all the hypocrisy around. Like I really started noticing how I was in this like in pseudo intellectual bubble in a way, of just like, white middle class people sitting around a table and discussing the problems in the world, just in this university, and or like writing about these problems from a library in London, and then going home and life is just normal. And that didn't really fit with me. I found that to be very hypocrite, and not very, it didn't serve my integrity in some ways. And my professor wanted me to do a PhD, but I was just like, no, I can't go on with this. And I had worked also quite a bit in the documentary world and in some like charities and NGOs. And even there, I kind of saw a bit of hypocrisy sometimes. Like, well, I'm gonna say very openly, I really don't want to offend anyone, and I don't. This is not like a final judgment. This is how I felt at that time, how I was perceiving things. But I was perceiving a bit of like kind of putting a mask of being a good Samaritan when you go to work, and like I'm working on this, and then when you go home, then just like, you know, being racist and sexist and just elitist or whatever, classist, and just because you do a job that is supposed to be good for the word, and like you can just justify any other action, and that didn't really fit with me. And then what I was also noticing, because I was part of some social movement, feminist collective, it was very much this like projecting the trauma onto the other, because the other is always the problem, never yourself. Never, you know, looking at yourself in the mirror. That's like something that you don't even think about doing. And then the other becomes always the problem. And then they just end up reproducing and maintaining the very same issue that they were criticizing or critiquing. And I was just seeing that, and I was like, nah, I can't be part of this. And so like, I got so disenchanted with all this word. And then I think just before that, I had started doing like some like self-development work, because I had a bit of a difficult family in some ways. So I you know, my family brought quite a lot of trauma into my life, which I now, you know, bless them, because thanks to them, I've done so much transformation, and I can, you know, I really like, in some ways they made my life so much more livable now, which is something that I would have never thought I could have said, you know, a few years ago. Because there was violence in my family. I've also, yeah, gone through some traumas in my life. And yeah, so after, when I finished my master's, I was doing too much work, and I finished my thesis in a very short time, which really kind of, it didn't burn me out, because I started meditating a few months before that. And meditation helped me so much to manage to stay calm. And I wrote meditation in 5 days, because I was able to just like not drop into like, oh my god, like you're super late, or into panic. And I mean, I had studied for quite a while, so it all kind of came out. And I was getting into these moments of like no time, and just like and it was amazing. But then I was like exhausted. I think I went to a conference after that, and I got ill there, and I realized how burnout I was and exhausted. So I went to Croatia to a friend of mine, who owns this little island, which is just a magical place. And I spent some time with, I think 3 or 4 weeks with her in Croatia. And I had something that now, with the knowledge that I have, I had a spiritual awakening, I would call it. I don't really like this term, because it's very overused, and it's a bit whatever. But I just, yeah, I don't know.
An awareness upgrade.
I mean, I was not. Sorry.
An awareness upgrade.
Yeah, completely, completely. And like, I also met someone who is, I think he still is raw vegan, and was a raw vegan for like, I don't know, 20 years, I guess. And he was an amazing human being. I mean, he still is. He's a really good friend of mine, who I need to catch up with him though. But he was just an outcast, like someone who lives life by picking fruits from trees, going to this like old 95-year-old lady who has her like veggie garden, and like, but she was almost blind, but she was the most vital person that I had seen in like a long time. She was incredible. And like he was also a raw vegan chef, or used to be, living a life just the way I wanted to live it. Because also when I finished my master's, for everything that I had learned, I was like, I don't want to be part of this system. I don't want to work, because then I become part of this system. Not because I'm lazy or whatever. I don't want to be part of this shitty capitalist, neoliberalist, like greedy, non-human, non-natural in some nature in terms of like Gaia, not like nature, what's natural in the artificial way. And he was one of those. He was like, he kind of had found his way to just like not be in the system and live his life. And he was so in touch with nature and just thriving and like full of energy and just an incredible human being. He was really, really inspiring for me. He really expanded my subconscious, my consciousness. So, and then he taught me a bit of raw veganism. Like he just showed me how easy it was to have a like 5-course meal of raw veganism and then, you know, feel completely satisfied and like, and then standing up and my tummy didn't hurt. It was like, oh my God, like I've eaten so much. So and then I went back to London because I still was living there. And since I was in Croatia and then I went back to London, I was in like utter ecstasy for like, I guess a month, 2 months. Like it was great. Like, I mean, I had these moments where I was like in ecstatic, like I was in the tube I remember this so well, being in the tube and just really happy. And then suddenly like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, like kind of what you get when you take drugs, unfortunately, because I have tried them and it was just the exact same feeling. And sometimes I was actually getting a little bit scared because I was like, what's this? Like, you know, is the drug still within me? And like, I'm having some like psychotic episode or what's going on? And I didn't really even have anyone I could really speak about these things with. And then I was like, okay, raw veganism, amazing. I started working for a cafe that used to be in London. That was raw vegan. And because I wanted to learn more about it, and so I started working with them, but then I realized they were a bit hypocrite and they kind of pretended being all about, you know, raw veganism, organic and spiritualism, but it wasn't so like that. And they were really underpaying people, also treating people quite badly. And then actually it went bankrupt, like I think a month after I left. I stayed there for a month. And that was a bit of another disenchantment for me. Like I was like, shit, again, like this, you know, promising the good stuff, but then when you go into it and behind it, it's actually a bit dodgy and dirty. Yeah. And so I was in London, and I was London. I don't know if you've ever been, but I feel, and I think other people too, it's a city where the energetics of it's very much about careers and money. It's just like when you go there, like you just start thinking about money and career. I guess probably like New York is quite similar. And so I was like, okay, I'm in the city of career money. Let's do career money for a bit because I have no money. and maybe, you know, maybe I should save a bit of money and then be able to live the life I want to live, which has nothing to do with, you know, working a normal job and so on. I also, at that time, one of my projects was that I wanted to go around the world and see eco-villages and kind of learn how they live, and then maybe create my own community in more the classic stuff. I mean, I know a lot of people who have the same idea, but I don't know if you meet them too. But yeah, so I I decided to stay in London and to try and find a job, even in corporations. I was so against corporations, but because I was so against them, and because I just realized, like, how can I critique something that I've never been part of and I've never seen? And also, they're the people who are not pretending not to be greedy, but they're very openly greedy. They're very openly, for money and whatever. So maybe I can learn from them. And I just felt like I want to see like inside the belly of the monster. I don't know if it makes sense. And so in some really weird ways, I just ended up in this. Oh my God, sometimes when I think about it, it's crazy. It's this like cybersecurity company, which was like founded by like secret agents, MI5, MI6, NSA people, like those people who have been lying for like all their lives, basically, and who are pretty good at manipulating other people. And who can be, quite interesting, interesting characters. But I ended up in this job for 3 years. I was doing sales, and it was like one of the fastest growing cybersecurity company. I went in when it was still like a startup, and then it became a unicorn, which means that especially on sales, we had so much pressure on. It was intense. And so from being, this like whatever activist, whatever I was, I don't know what I was even, to then being in a super corporate environment, very elitist as well. And just like every month having these targets, and then they would make me fly. Like, well, I was going, especially from London, I was going a lot to Scandinavia and into Italy. Like I was at the airport every day, basically, or maybe every second day, flying constantly. The first year I was flying constantly. I completely lost the conception of time and space. I remember so well one morning waking up, I don't know if it was in Germany or somewhere, and being like I don't know where I am. I don't know what time it is. I really and it took me like half an hour to just like really connect and be like, okay, now I know where I am, who I am, what I'm doing, and so on. But I was in this job in a conscious way, in the sense that I knew that corporation was just a phase for me. It was something that I could have never like endured for long. That I kind of gave myself maximum 3 years. And I was in constant crisis. Like every 3 months, I was like, I needed to sit down with myself. And I'm going to be very honest, I was in for the money, because I was really well paid, and I was getting commissions from the sales that I was doing. And, they sold the job quite well to me, because at the beginning they were like, you're going to make immediately super good money. It wasn't so immediate, but then I started making the money. But it was so intense. It was just like completely like keeping you in survival mode. Like I really realized that, keeping you in this like rat race of like, and then competition, and just like, this like survival mode where you just need to think of your basic needs, and then about the job, but you have no time and no energy, and not just like physical energy, but like even spiritual energy or whatever, to connect to something higher. It's just like first chakra issue. Like you think you're not going to survive, so you can't go higher and like understand more things and see things from like different perspectives. And so that started my journey to toxicity more, and to getting sick, because I never really, by the way, premise, when I was in London, I used to smoke, and when I was in university, I used to smoke quite a bit, actually, organic tobacco, but it was still tobacco. I was like, yeah, but this is organic, and it's like, fuck off, whatever. Can I swear, by the way? I hope it's not Okay, good.
But everything goes.
Okay, good. I also, I mean, I did my partying quite a bit there. So, I mean, I used to drink actually in London. I used to drink quite a bit. Like I was never someone who would binge drink, but I would drink often. Um, and then I remember actually one day realizing that I was so used to having a glass of wine a day, and one of my doctors just made me notice that, and she was just like, try not to have it and see if it's difficult, because if it's difficult, it means that you're a bit addicted to it. And I noticed that I would get a bit grumpy by taking it away. But then I kind of stopped. And also I have to say, I've always been also quite sensitive to alcohol. I mean, my body is, fortunately, now I can say fortunately, before I was like, shit, like I get these really bad hangovers and you guys don't get them. Like, this is really annoying. And I really realized that, like, my body, especially with alcohol, if it's non-good quality, I get a headache in 2 minutes. It's really annoying. If it's good quality and whatever, like, the hangovers are less bad, but still. But then also my studies started to get quite intense, so like I had to down my reduce my intake of alcohol, because I mean, in London, in the UK, it's very social. Like, it's, where do you go if you're not in your living room? You go to the pub. That's like the public living room. And it's about drinking a lot, and it's a very different way of drinking than what Italians do. You probably know it's very stereotypical culturally. But yeah, and I smoke, I drank. What else? I sometimes did recreational drugs, and I was eating, what I would say now badly, but never like as bad. I was never on a standard American diet. Like, I could never eat the shit that many people would eat in London. Like, I mean, for me, veggies and fruit have always been 70% of my diet. Also because of maintaining my skinny body, obviously, and then so yeah, and then also because I love them, and I'm not a big cook neither. And I mean, I also got into raw veganism because it was really easy to prepare. Like, I've always been someone that when I'm hungry, I want to eat immediately. I could never wait more than 20 minutes to prepare something unless someone else prepares it for me. And I'm not very creative with food. But yeah, I those were kind of my vices, and I think I stopped smoking maybe 3 years ago completely. Although I have to say, I've had my occasional cigarette even like in this last 2 years, but it actually tastes pretty bad. Ayurveda helped me stop smoking. India did it. I did a panchakarma in India in 2017 because otherwise I go off on a tangent. I hope I'm keeping like a linear or somehow like maintaining a sense of what I'm saying. But the job that I had really started bringing up health issues, which obviously, it's not that the job created them. I think it brought up, maybe it stressed my body in a way that the old stuff also came up. And then it just maybe added, it was just too much and my body couldn't do it anymore with it. But yeah, I started bringing health issues. My weight was going up and down. That was already annoying. I would get this gastrointestinal issues, just like bloatedness and then fatigue. Obviously it was like really high pace and really stressful, and I was not sleeping a lot and all that kind of stuff. So then I was starting to have this like really weird rashes on my face. Like, I don't know if it's being lucky in some ways, yes, but in some ways it's really unlucky. If I get an issue, it goes into my face. It's just like I get often, yeah, like, I mean, I noticed being not very tolerant to dairy because I would get this something weird on my face, gluten as well. And I'm very sensitive to my body. So when it's not in a good state, I feel it. And that just doesn't make my, like, I just don't like living that way. So I need to do something to fix it. And there it was just like a constant issue and constantly like this and that. But because of, I mean, I thank my parents, because of the way I was brought up, I always knew that food is so important, and like food is what we are. Like, how can someone not understand that something that you put in your body is going to become you as well? And also, you know, being brought up in a way that like medication was given to me only if I was basically dying in front of my mother, which, you know, I'm super thankful for, but I was also very resentful for many years because, you know, I saw my Italian friends with their mom just giving them, you know, everything they need to make them not suffer. And my mom being just like, oh, it's good that you suffer. Your body's gonna just, you know, get over it. And like, it's really good that you're getting a fever because it means that your body is just dealing with it on its own. And you know, when I was little, I was like, no, this is wrong. But then I realized, you know, this is really good.
She's right.
And I think, yeah, yeah. So thank you, Mom. And I think, you know, I built a really good immune system through that as well. But what was I saying? Oh yeah, so didn't want to get into medications. So I started, you know, trying to find out whether I, you know, some sort of diet could help me. Raw veganism helped for a bit, although at the beginning I, like, when I learned all about detoxing after, I realized that I actually had a bit of a detox healing crisis at the beginning of my raw veganism journey. But I then got into Ayurveda. It really spoke to me at that time. I studied it quite a bit. I did a massage course. I got really into it. You know, the doshas were quite helpful to understand myself. You know, my vata imbalance and all that kind of stuff. But, well, I mean, Ayurvedic food I wasn't so into. And as many other things that I tried, it was always like plateauing. It was just like, you know, it made me feel better for a bit, but then, you know, the issues were still there. Maybe like they got reduced a little bit, but it was still there. I went to a dietist and, you know, it helped for 2 weeks and then it just got worse, the issues that I had. Just like, yeah, I tried a few things and nothing was really working. And then I was actually not really agreeing with what the people were saying to me. Like, I never used to have breakfast usually. Coffee, yes. And coffee and an orange juice, maybe. I wasn't big into it, but I guess in Italy, people actually are not so into breakfast. It's a different culture. And then I remember noticing that if I had breakfast, it would just make me hungrier all day. While if I didn't have breakfast, I could even, I would also starve my body so that I maintain my skinniness. So like that's, you know, my motive often for not eating was to be skinny. So it was unhealthy for my body because the intention behind it was unhealthy. It was not for loving my body. It was against, you know, the body, I guess. And but yeah, this diet is, she was like, protein, like you're not eating proteins, because I was really not eating many proteins at all in my diet normally. And then I was like, oh my God, like I'm scared, like maybe I should eat them. And then I tried and then I was like, you know, like maybe it made me feel better for 2 weeks, but then I just felt worse. I was just feeling heavier and slower and just yeah, it wasn't good for me. And then somehow, I don't even remember how, but I got into like, well, Arnold Ehret's book just like dropped in front of me for some reason. I think I listened maybe to a podcast and I heard this woman speaking about it. Probably that's the first time. And I remember being like, the mucus-free diet healing system. What the hell is that? And she was talking about fasting and everything. But yeah, it just sounded like it's such a weird name. So I was like, yeah, I need to check it out. And I checked it out, and I got the book, and I devoured the book. And like, I don't know, I then got all his books. And even in my weekends, I would just go to the library and read them, being like, oh, this is amazing. This is like, finally someone is telling me that I can eat fruits, that fruits are good for me, because I just had come from a dietist that was like, fruit is full of sugar, classic, the story, and that you shouldn't have it, and blah, blah. And then someone is finally saying like, yes, and having breakfast is stupid and blah, blah. So it's like, it just resonated with me so much. Like my tummy was just like, yeah, amazing. So and this was 2 years ago. And that was also 2017. It was a year in my life that was pretty interesting because there was a lot of death and illness in my family and like for like beloved ones. It started 2017 with my father having a heart attack and not dying, fortunately, in that moment. But and then my mom had a tumor that fortunately ended up to be benign, but it looked like malign. They had to remove a kidney, which crazy. My mom is a twin sister. She has a twin brother, and they removed her kidneys. After 3 months, her twin brother died, which is, was also really sad. And then someone else died, and then another friend got sick. So like a lot of, I really felt like it was a year where like the universe was just like taking everything and like bringing it to the surface, like pus out of like a pimple. And then like whatever needed to go away had to go away, and whatever could stay still, like on this word could stay. And then I ended up having also a cyst on my right ovary, which then ended up being a teratoma, which is a benign tumor. But it was a super big, but it was there. And for me, that was also one of the last signs that my body was giving to me of saying like, you need to leave this job. Like, you're freaking hurting yourself now. And like, and then after a few months I actually left. But just before, I think it was around the time that I was finding out about the cyst, which didn't look very much like a cyst. So obviously they were a bit scared that maybe it was a cancer or something. But which for me was like, ding, 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 ding. Now, your body is just saying like, this is not right. Like you have to change your lifestyle, everything you're doing. And so yeah, and then I found Harriet, and I started transitioning, and I then had to go through my surgery, which they did I think it's called laparoscopy. They do like 4 points, and then they kind of get the thing out. And I think I found the Living Mucus-Free group just before that. I think actually no, I had found you guys. I remember like finding you on Google or something and being like, these people are crazy. Like, what the hell is this? And like, not really. It was when the protocol was open, and just seeing like, yeah, this is too much shit, and like this is crazy. And little did I know that I ended up doing that. But then I found a Living Mucus-Free group, and I got into it. And I think, yeah, when I got into the surgery, because I had started understanding that fasting could have really helped my recovery. So I decided to fast throughout my surgery. So it was about like 10 days, because I mean, the surgery was obviously one day, and then I think I stayed in the hospital for about 4 days or something, and then the rest few days I fasted. And
They removed the growth.
no, they removed the growth. So like, but it did make me feel, I don't know, it was just very natural, which I realized also with our no diet. It's like when you're sick, it's normal not to eat. So I did that, and then I was just, I mean, I was so sold on the whole mucus-less diet. I was like, I found home. I don't know, I need to try this. I need to check this out and like really see if it works. And I did. So I started transitioning. I mean, I guess I was really lucky. I was coming already from like a plant-based diet. I mean, I haven't eaten, I was eating very occasionally grains, like cereals, or like, not even quinoa, like, because it would make me feel quite heavy. So it wasn't, I mean, yeah, I wasn't eating grains and stuff for quite a few years, just occasionally. I mean, I wouldn't have occasionally my dad's bread, which is good quality, but it's still bread, and it's very, also white flour and whole wheat flour sometimes, but still. And then, no dairy already, because they didn't work with me. I didn't even like them. No meat. Yeah, fish every now and then. I was into coffee though. Coffee was definitely part of my diet.
Espresso.
But, sorry?
Espresso.
Yeah. And I actually know Americano.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm into the big like coffee with, almond milk or whatever, veggie milk. But yeah, and so for me, it was mainly, I tricked myself into getting rid of coffee by like adding decaf coffee a little bit more constantly, so that I wouldn't get those like strong withdrawal symptoms. And it worked really well. I really recommend it. I actually stopped having, mocha coffee. We call it mocha. Also because I realized the amount of metals that I was probably getting from it. So it was just like, oh my God, I can't have it anymore. That's crazy. But yeah, coffee I had to get rid of. But the transition, I could start already from I don't want to say far ahead, because it sounds a bit hierarchical, as if there's a goal. It's very linear thinking. But I didn't have to start transitioning from eating meat and a standard American diet, basically. But then I remember like going on and just like eating and being like, and by the way, my difficult relationship with food, I always had it since I developed the eating disorder. Like, it always stayed with me. So I knew that food was something for me in this life that I had to learn how to deal with, because it was such a problem for me. It was something that I was scared of. I wasn't very able to enjoy always. Sometimes I would, but not always. Often I would then feel guilty that I had eaten. So I need to, if I ate too much, and I could get into binge eating as well. But the classic starving myself and then binge eating, especially as a way to just cover all my emotions. And yeah, so and numbing myself and really not feeling the pain that I had inside. It was, yeah, it's what everyone does. It's just that we need to understand it and accept it and work through it. But wait, what was I saying? Oh yeah, I started transitioning, and just I started noticing how food was just becoming something that I would have and just be like, this is really not satisfying. It's like, I really remember it so well, this feeling one day, especially that I was like, I feel like I'm a slave to food. you know, this is like there's this chains attached to the food and my body. And I'm like, nah, I want to like take it away. Like I also I don't like dependency. It's something that I'm often scared about, because for me, I think freedom is such an important thing in my life, sometimes even too much, that like when I feel some sort of dependency, it just like, it makes me feel so uncomfortable. And then I felt this thing with food. And then I was just like, okay, I need to stop, you know, eating food. Or just like, I think maybe I read some posts, so I started realizing that was my body telling me, like, you need to fast, like you need to go into, I need to try this. And then I think that was also because that was the last year that I was working. And I had been planning my quitting my job for quite a while, but I was kind of postponing it because there was this big chance of like earning a lot of money by making a big sales. And then because I realized also that maybe fasting would help me manifest something. I was like, okay, I need to try this. And so I was just like, I'm gonna just jump into this. And I was also I had fasted during my surgery, but I was, bedridden. That wasn't so hard. Like I couldn't just stand up and go to the fridge and get some food. So it was quite easy in that way. But after that, and when I was transitioning, I had tried doing some little fasts, and they were so hard. Like I remember it was easier to do a 40-day fast, to jump on a 40-day fast, than doing a 2-3 days fast. And I really want to say this because it really, I think someone said it on some group, and that really helped me. So I hope this can help someone else. But I felt this slavery and so on, and then I just decided to do a 40-day fast. I was like, okay, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it even on the month of, like, it was the end of fiscal year, so it was like the most stressful month in my job. But then I don't know why, I just decided that was the month that I was gonna do it. And so I kind of prepared myself, and I was lucky enough because at that time I could expense also my food, what I would eat, because I was constantly like traveling around. Because at that time in Italy we didn't have, now we have a German shop that sells the grape juice for €2. But back then it was like, this is 2 years ago, it was like €4.50, €5, which, it gets quite expensive. Which, at that time I also had money, like it was fine, but it would have been quite expensive. So I could just expense it to my company. So thank you for helping me do the fast. And I got my tinctures, and then I just, I just dived into the fast. With a dry fast. I think I did a 24-hour dry fast. I've always been quite careful not to, actually dry fasting for me has always been the hardest part. I think the longest I've done is 70 hours. I can go on, I think, drinking is fine, but the dry fasting is quite hard for me. Now, it's become less hard, obviously, but at the beginning it was pretty intense. I remember so well starting the fast and feeling like I was gonna die. Classic. But especially I was starting to get all these thoughts of like, oh my God, now you're gonna become an anorectic, you're gonna kill yourself.
Dry fast, you mean?
In the dry fast, yeah.
Now the dry fast, it's the most intense, it's the most potent, so it's normal. Of course, it's the hardest part, especially the monthly one. It is the hardest part in the master fast, for sure.
Oh my God, yeah, completely. And also because I have to say, it would make me feel weak, especially more than 24 hours. Like I would start to feel a bit like, and while if I was drinking the juice or dry fasting, 14 to 18 hours a day, that was fine. But the longer, like I couldn't dry fast, long dry fast and work at the same time. It was a bit too much.
Yeah.
But
Like
sorry?
once a month, 72 hours, but
Oh, yeah.
do your best. You don't have to do 72
Yeah,
hours.
no, I even go slow with that now. Like I'd say 48 hours. I'd rather do like a 2-day and then be more consistent than
Always have to
do
be.
this really long. And I guess because I've seen some people do really long ones and actually like hurt themselves a bit. So like I'm kind of like, okay, I'm not gonna do that.
Break themselves when they break the fast.
Yeah, as well. Yeah, exactly.
Not during the fast.
Yeah.
But you have to. It's a lifestyle. Yeah. So now we don't recommend actually. We tell people we don't recommend long fasts. We recommend going into it as a lifestyle. So deciding how many days a week as a lifestyle, basically.
Yeah, completely. And I mean, at that time, I don't think, I mean, the mucus-assisted healing system, I was like, this is a lifestyle. Like I know there's no going back. Also because of the knowledge that you gain. It's like opening your eyes like this, and then how can you go back to that? It's just like, I mean, you can. I've noticed that you can. Like you could, because sometimes, life comes in between, and I mean, you can get, I know they're all excuses. Sometimes they're really good excuses, but it's, you just go back to whatever you were doing before.
You will never forget.
Yeah, but you never forget. I completely agree. It's just that maybe then you don't, I don't know, I guess you lose that motivation. I don't know what happens.
For sure.
But in Masterclass, I never thought, that's going to become a lifestyle, because it just seemed a bit crazy maybe, and whatever. But I loved it. It was great. I don't know. I think, yeah, my first Masterclass was actually, yeah, it was amazing. I had more time. I didn't have to think about food. I could go to bed earlier. Sorry?
More energy to work.
More energy. Like, I have to say, the first, like, I didn't notice, a lot more energy, but definitely like a more constant energy, and definitely never less energy. Because everyone would ask me, like, do you feel like you don't have energy? Because then now I'm actually on my third master fast right now. And in the second one and in the third one, and especially in this one, I've had this like explosions of energy. But wait, I'm gonna go in order a little bit. In the first one, I think actually no, even in the first one, I remember like a hike that I would do normally, like finishing that, like a 2-hour hike, and be like, oh my God, let's do another one. Let's do another one. While before it was like, after 2 hours, I would be, that's fine. And
with the first one, we were always shocked. So it's hard to, like we can't really remember that we had a lot of energy. But this, when you get used to it, when you get used to the master fast, you're like, yeah. You start noticing that the energy is way higher when you're
completely. Yeah.
This one is always like we're shocked, like by the big changes. So like you're monitoring your energy level,
Yeah, completely. Yeah, and then I felt like I was losing all that waste I kind of had gained through the job. I felt like, just kind of like, a snake taking off this like layers of like unnecessary like skin that was just like keeping me down.
From the inside.
Exactly.
From the inside.
We shed from the inside.
Yeah, exactly, completely. And yeah, so it was good. I've never had massive healing crisis in these 2 years. And sometimes I ask myself, is it because I haven't gone deep enough yet? I don't know. Who knows? I mean, I've had those sometimes in my first and second fast. I haven't had them much this fast now, by my first and second fast, I had these moments though sometimes that God, I remember them really well. I was walking in the street, and then suddenly I would feel this like, I don't know, like rush inside of me and making me feel pretty weak for a moment. And then, you know, needing to release. So knowing that I would need to either go to the toilet or do an enema. And then, yeah, and like a couple of times it scared me a little bit. But then I realized, you know, this is great. This is something. But it felt like an electric shock for a moment. I don't know what they are, but
Sure, your
yeah,
body's healing.
yeah, the body was healing.
Yeah, I mean,
And
with master fast, I find it's very smooth, the healing, that many of us, you know, don't even experience any big healing reactions, you know.
yeah, yeah.
But we're definitely healing, as you know, as soon as we lighten up our lifestyle, we're healing, you know. The body, I mean, the body has more energy, you know, to heal anything. Yeah.
And I did get because I actually, since I started that job, I started getting the herpes like on the lips, cold sores, I think they're called. And towards the end of my 40-day fast, I started getting them. Like I got one. So it was just, and I remember posting about it, and you guys kind of told me like, this is good. And then, but what was really annoying, I remember after that fast, I got like 4 of them. That was so freaking annoying. And then obviously they're like, oh, this is, you know, this is not good. This shouldn't happen. However, when I started my transitioning to the mucus-free healing system, I remember at the beginning, the first like 3-4 weeks, my skin got a lot better on my face because I think a couple of months ago, I saw some old photos of mine and freaked. Like I really had this like acne on my face. It was not nice, but it was a weird acne. Well, not really an acne, but it was really not bad. And I don't know how I was like fine with it. I obviously didn't like it. But yeah, so when I got into the mucus-free healing system in the beginning, it got better. And then it got really worse. And like, I remember it just, and I was going to go to New York, and I was like, shit, you know, I'm going to another country looking horrible. And then I started getting into this, like, well, a bit self-loathing and being, you know, like, you're so ugly, you're so ugly, no one wants to look at you, like, look at you, you're not worth living. Well, I mean, not that bad, but kind of. And then I realized, I was like, shit, I need to learn to love this face, even with the acne. Obviously, like all the groups, you know, the master fast and like people, the support that there is was something that helped me realize these things. And then I was, you know, doing a lot of, I had a counselor for like years now, and I've been doing a lot of work on myself, which maybe I'll get into in a bit. But and I remember one night I was like, I was like in front of the mirror, and I was like, if you don't learn to love yourself in this ugliness, nothing's ever gonna heal. But it just came from inside of me, something. And then somehow I just surrendered. I don't like the word surrendered. It's very taxed use, but whatever. Like I was just like, you know, fuck it. Like even if you have this acne, like you're fine, whatever. Like first of all, there's bigger problems in the world as well. Like that's something that has always helped me. But then I was just like, yeah, fuck it. Like you're just Nora, whatever. And the day after it was gone. It was crazy. That was like, I think, you know, having this kind of results has always really helped going on. Because, you know, sometimes it's hard. Like you're always the different one. Although I don't really care what people say. I'm kind of,
A lot of people lose faith very quickly, you know.
yeah.
You gotta understand when you're, you know, going on these long master fasts, you know, all the weaknesses come to the surface. The body has to work them out. And
Yeah.
sometimes they'll keep going and going and going, and people lose faith, and break their fast. Meanwhile, it could have been just another day or 2 or 3 or whatever before it broke free. But sometimes it may be weeks or months, and you gotta just keep digging.
Yeah, completely.
The body knows exactly what to do. You know, soul's working in autopilot. You don't have to worry about it. Just let it do what it's got to do. Follow the, all the tools we have to use, and just keep it
Which
going.
I have to say, like the complete trust in my body, I think has come in the last year. Like the first year, I still didn't really have it so much.
It takes time.
Yeah, it takes time. But now it's like, gosh, like my body knows. My body knows better than anything and anyone. And it's amazing. I just it's something that, as you probably know, but like you can't explain it unless you've tried it. So the first fast went fine. I lost a bit of weight, but I've never really lost super much weight. I think I lost 5 kilos or something, which I was actually happy about, I have to say. Like, I was happy of like I kind of felt like I got back to my normal weight. And but then the post fast. Oh my God, obviously I underestimated it at the beginning. Obviously, who doesn't? I guess I don't know if there's anyone who has like really yeah.
Anything fast takes a wise man to break a fast.
Yeah, gosh, yeah. Which, I mean, I broke it well, and I think the first 3 weeks I was really good. I was just basically having tomatoes and cucumbers. But then, gosh, I'm wondering. I think that was actually, because so in the first fast, I also manifested this big deal that I managed to sell, which was the criteria for me that made me gonna quit my job. So it basically freed me from this job, the master fast. It helped me, manifest something so important in that moment, which, something very material as well. Obviously, it was a lot of money, but because of that money, I was like, okay, then I can just cut this out, and I've reached my goal as well, because I had this goal, and then by leaving this job, quitting this job, I was gonna basically change my life completely. I was living in Milan in that time, so like leave my house in Milan in the city, and move to the countryside with my now ex-boyfriend, who was living near Padova, near Venice, in these hills, and it was like a house with 6 people. We were in a commune, but like we had our veggie garden, which we actually got, like we could even sell stuff sometimes or just give them to friends. So and everything was super organic, biodynamic as well, even in some ways. And then live a like way more ecological lifestyle, because that's something that is really important for me, and has been for quite a while. I guess it's also part of my generation of like feeling this freaking urge of like we need to do something. So I when that fast ended, then I was already kind of starting to live like half of my month in this place, and half of the time at my house alone in Milan. And that's when I was post-fasting, and I was more in that other house, like little by little more in the other house, and it's freaking hard to do a post-fast when you're going through moving house, and then living with other people who are cooking a lot. Fortunately, a lot of vegan cooking, but vegan is not like healthy, obviously, you know that, as eating itself is not healthy. But yeah, so that messed up. I mean, I'm saying this as if it's their fault. Obviously, it's my responsibility, but like that kind of made my post fast a bit harder. it's not that I like cheated super badly, but I definitely got into like eating denser food a bit too quickly and adding like fats and, you know, olive oil and that kind of stuff.
You felt it.
Sorry?
And you felt it.
Yeah, and I felt it. Not that I had like massive reactions, but I felt in the sense of like, ugh, like, you know, you go back. But what I felt more, I think that was in my first fast. Yeah, that was then, is getting back into problems. I don't know how to explain it. This is really hard, but I really like this is, I saw it in some sort of my own, my mind is super visual. Like, and I saw it as if like from like flying, I just like fell down with my face in the mud into like normal life problems. I remember so well one week where I was gonna go and support my ex-boyfriend in a vision quest, and so many problems came, and I was just like, and I would just be taken by these problems, while before it was just like, you know, it's not that you don't have problems, but you don't deal with them in the same way. It's just they don't feel like problem. They feel like something that you just need to deal with. I don't know if it makes sense. And I, yeah, it was just like, pam, like back into reality, and like, oh God, and like negativity, and I got a bit caught up into that. And obviously, you know, negativity makes you want to eat something. So I did get a bit into that. Not too badly, but a little bit. And yeah, and also I think, oh my God, I have so many things I want to share, but it feels like there's too many. I remember I did a sacred plant ceremony just after my fast, which was a great idea and also a really bad idea. It was a great idea in the sense that it was probably one of the most incredible like ceremonies that I've ever, I did two. But then the first one was super intense because I drank what normally, I can talk about these things here, right? Yeah, of course. I drank like, you know, a full like toma, and I mean it just went straight into my intestine and into my blood. And like in 3 minutes I was in a completely different world, and I lost the conception of reality. But I went into this like suffering of the earth a lot. It was a really interesting ceremony. But the one after was just mind-blowing. I mean, it's crazy. I got so much information, but like even I asked for my life purpose, and I got some of like the most incredible stuff. I started drawing molecules, plant molecules, which I don't know where that information ever came from. And there was a guy who knew a bit about, you know, chemist and biochemistry, and he was like, yeah, that's right. You know, and I'm like, I have no clue where this is coming from. And yeah, and other stuff. But then obviously I was flying so high from that ceremony, I had to, you know, in that moment, food was the thing I knew that would ground me. So I had quite like dense food. And that kind of also, you know, you have it once, so it's quite easy to have it more times. So then my post-fast started having some issues. And yeah, so then I went on. I stayed always on the mucus-free diet healing system. I didn't do like fastings after, like maybe a day or two, like with a dry fast. I kept that, and you know, I just went into maybe some foods a bit too quickly, but it's not like I went back to eating shit. I was so committed to this, and like what made me feel heavy, like I couldn't do that. But I have to say, because then I had moved already into this house with the other people, living the mucus-free diet healing system with other people who are not into that is not easy. And then I also did my second fast thereafter, I think. So I finished mine in about end of June, and then I did my second master fast in January. So that's about 6 months after. And the second fast, because Christmas, obviously I ate, I've always hated Christmas because of family reasons, but also I really hated this like eating, just like it's crazy. It's completely fucked up, I think. And
where do your parents live now?
sorry?
Parents, where do they live now?
So my dad is in Italy and my mom is in Finland. We actually spend it together. It's a long story. I'm not going to go into that.
That's okay.
But it's actually Christmas time has always been a time in our family where like, big issues came up. So it was something that emotionally I was really not into. And then also the food really didn't help. Like many years ago when I drank, I used to get myself a bit drunk because I was a happy drunk, so that at least I would be happy. But then it was because of like this intensity also emotionally and tension in the family, I would just, numb it with food, obviously. And then you end up like in food comas, and it's horrible. And like, and gaining all this waste on you in those holidays for what? Just because you can't deal with with people. I don't know, it's crazy. It's just, I find it crazy at least. But so I jumped onto my second master fast. The second one I did 45, 50 days. I think I started having fresh juices at 45. But so I did my second fast, where I went to Finland as well in that fast, and then I also went to Scotland, and that was good. It went well. I mean, I think I had a few of the same like heating crises a couple of times, and then actually no, on my second fast, I remember it so well. It was so interesting, but I think it was so interesting. It's really hard to explain, but I felt like I went into my depression 2 days, but not in a way that I felt depressed. It's just that it's like I was feeling it on my body. Like I was, and my mind kind of would get into it a little bit, kind of like this all being like, what's the point in anything? What's the point in anything? And like going into this apathy. But then somehow knowing that I wasn't like into it really. I was more like as if I was observing it, but I was feeling it and observing it. But something behind was like saying, this is just something that you're observing. And towards the end of it, I started realizing, like, I don't know if I just, like, that was a layer of sickness that had to like just come off. It's really hard to explain, but it was so interesting. And then, and obviously, I mean, in all my fast, I went through the moments of anger and just like, I guess, I mean, realizing also by doing work on myself, I would call that like, also like, well, the grumpy little Nora that just, got uncovered and had to just cry out and like have this like big reactions. And God, my ex-boyfriend was amazing. He was really good at dealing with, well, I mean, actually, he even said it, like I wasn't that hard. Even in some ways, I was even cooler and easier to deal with. Because before I ever got into, I'm going to add this stuff now. Before I got into the mucus-associated healing system, I suffered a bit from constipation. And I had all my morning routine so that I could, go to the toilet in the morning. And it was just so annoying sometimes because if we were traveling, like I had to, I needed my 1 hour, I needed all my calmness and like this ritual that was so dependent on other things. And actually, it was freaking annoying. It was annoying to travel that way. And while, when I got into the I don't know, a mucus-associated healing system, especially with the fasting, all these things went away. And enemas, I love enemas. I wanted to become a hydrocolon therapist. Because, and also actually I realized that I wanted to become a counselor, which I'm now training to become one, and a hydrocolon therapist, and put the two together, because you need to get the shit out of your system, emotional shit, but also your real shit. Like one goes with the other, and that's why animas. Well, it's like it's such a letting go, and I started advising everyone to do animas. Any problem anyone would have, maybe you should do an anima. Maybe you should do an anima. It's crazy, and some people have started, and they really love them. And by the way, one thing that I really noticed in my first fast as well was the judgment coming from other people, which, however, because it was, I did get it a little bit on my first fast. On my second fast and third fast, zero. Quite the opposite. First fast, freaking out, are you an anorectic? Or you're feeling high because anorectic people feel high. And it's this freaking annoying thing that if you're a woman who fasts, then you have an eating disorder. Usually, that's the classic mentality. And then but then I realized, if this judgment is coming from out, what I see as external from me, it must be inside of me, especially because it is affecting me. It is making me feel, frustrated, annoyed, sad, whatever. So then I was just like, okay, now you need to sit down with yourself. And I always imagine myself as really sitting down, and on the other side of the table, there's the other reflection of Nora. And are you judging yourself doing this master fast? And then I realized, yeah, I was still I don't know. It's not that I wasn't convinced in it, but some sort of judgment was still there. I don't even remember anymore. Gosh, when I dealt with it, when I sat down with it, when I persisted with contacting this thing, I have never ever had a problem with judgment anymore. And anyone who, I don't know if it's because I don't care, or it's because it just doesn't come into my field anymore. One or the other, whatever, who cares? The thing is that it doesn't happen anymore. Also, I have to say, at the beginning, maybe I was talking about it constantly, because every time when I get excited, I want to kind of share with everyone. And someone, I think in the master fast, told me be careful. It's not that you shouldn't share it, but people are not ready to listen to this. You're gonna really you're gonna, how do you say, I don't know, you're gonna touch some weird spots for people.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, well, you know very well. Shit, yeah. And actually, yeah, and also on my first fast, yeah. Now, sorry, I should have written things down, but I didn't have the chance. But on my first fast, at the beginning of it, my ex-boyfriend was a bit concerned, and my mom too, especially because I had another problem. I had head rushes if I would stand up too quickly. And because I'm someone who, especially when I wake up in the morning, I just jump out of bed, because I'm a very morning person. And I did that, and twice I actually fell down. And once I actually fell down and hit my neck on the sink, which fortunately I didn't hurt myself too bad, but I was quite close to, hitting my head. So, and obviously my ex-boyfriend saw that, and he got a bit scared. And so then I had to, kind of assure him that, it's going to be all right. I've learned my lesson. And then I learned to just, every time I would, especially if I was laying down, first I would need to sit down, wait 4 seconds, and then stand up. Which now, I realized this a couple of days ago, I have no problems with it in this fast. In the second fast, I think I still felt it a little bit. Especially maybe towards the end. Yeah, no, I don't remember. But this fast, no problem. Like I can just, I mean, I went into sauna as well a few times, and because I just come out of it, and it's pretty fine. Actually, it's really fine.
Always be careful.
Yeah, no, yeah, completely. Like I've learned, have in those situations, have like something nearby that I can grab onto or just sit down or fall into. But that's changed, definitely changed. And yeah, and also because of those situations, I have to kind of calm down my mom and my ex-boyfriend. And also what I realized, I remember really well, which was interesting in my first fast, was that the people that I thought were going to support me the most were actually the ones that didn't support me. And the people that I thought were not going to support me, my dad, for instance, who has always taken the piss out of me because of diets and actually like, insulted me because of them, because, well, whatever. It's not that he said, good Nora, that's a great thing, but he didn't say anything. And while I was speaking about it, he was just listening and being like, oh, okay. Speaking about someone who has a massive problem with food, my dad, compulsive eating, he's a ticking bomb now still. He, workaholic, whatever. But yeah, he supported it, and I was really shocked. It was, and like from other people as well. It was really interesting. Obviously, the social aspect of fasting is always the hardest, I think. As I think I was mentioning, I'm someone who, I don't care if someone, is eating something else and telling me I should eat something. I'm like, no, like I don't make it into a problem what you're eating. So why should you make it into a problem what I'm eating or not eating? So I'm not someone those that I really need to always accommodate the other, especially for this kind of stuff. Which, for instance, my ex-boyfriend, he tried the master fast for 2 weeks, and his biggest problem was the social aspect, and like, if everyone else is eating, how can he like be the different guy that isn't eating or is eating only different things? So it was interesting to notice like what I found difficult and what he found difficult. But yeah, I mean, I would just go even to work dinners and work lunches and just not eat, and just either I had an excuse, I don't know, I would just say, have a doctor appointment where I have to go without having eaten, or then actually I realized so well that sometimes it was better to just say like for health reasons. And if someone would ask you like, what do you have? And then I'm like, it's private and it's pretty big, so you shouldn't go into that. And then they would be like, okay, sorry. So and then it would just like disappear and like go away and like not want to ask more questions. But yeah, second fast went well. I mean, yeah, for me the fast, like, yeah, the physical part is, is there obviously, but it's really the like working on emotions and the spiritual part that is just mind-blowing. Like I'm someone who, one of my issues is groundedness very often. I've really needed to be working on that. I'm someone, very airy, also because I'm constantly doing things and like just very unbalanced in that way, very regular. So finding grounding was something that I was looking for, and also even just the fact that I never knew where my home was just a problem for me, and whatever. But fasting, and I remember noticing it immediately on my first fast, was just like grounded. It was crazy. It's like you have like the monkey mind completely goes away, and then you just know. And like, I don't know, like the way I can explain it is like you have both your feet on the ground, and you stand up and you know your place in the world. It's like, and it made me really realize, like, if you have to make a big decision in life, fast.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just, if you don't know what you want to do in your life, fast. It's gonna come. Like, you just know. And then like this visceral knowledge that comes up, and it's this, like, throughout these 2 years, I've really noticed how, like, now my knowledge, and I was talking about this with my counselor the other day, like, I'm perceiving things. It's not anymore about thinking. It's not like this comes from up and says, oh, you should do this. No. If it tries to do that way, it doesn't work. And I get slapped by the universe completely. But why, when it comes from, like, deep down, and it goes up, and I realized that also because often I can't explain it, and just until it gets to my throat, almost like I can, when it gets into my throat, I can then explain it. But I can already explain it, but it's not yet connected to my mind. And I've noticed this very much because it's kind of like I want to just get it all out. It's kind of the shit that I want to get out so that I can process it while I'm getting it out. And I noticed that it's still not in the head because I get annoyed if other people, annoyed. I don't want other people to bring their opinions because I'm still processing it. So it's not yet mental. And it's amazing because it's like, I don't know, it's like there's no doubts anymore, and like,
How many
and
days are you now? And
how many days am I in? 30. 30, yeah. So yeah, 30 days. Yeah.
nice.
So
Feeling.
I don't count anymore.
Yeah.
And by the way, because I mean, I do want to do an 108. The one thing I really noticed with myself, and that's why I've kind of not imposed, but like, well, now I'm really happy that I'm not counting because the days actually go quite fast. But on my second fast, I remember being like, oh, I want to get to, I don't remember what I wanted to get to, maybe 60. But then I really, because for me, the fast, with all the work that I'm doing on myself, is just very much about becoming completely honest with myself. And I realized that I wanted to do 60 days because of the number and because of the status that number could attach to my personality, to my person.
Mm-hmm.
And when I really, because I started like, I mean, yeah, like I started noticing that. And then I was like, one day I was just like, that's so clear. You're like, this is ego. And this is becoming a number, not like a practice. It's becoming about the number rather than, about the fast or about the journey. And there I was like, okay, Nora, you need to, because you want to do more because of the number, you have to just keep it to less, or like to the 40 or 45, whatever.
The longer you go, the deeper it would be, of course. But at
Yeah,
the end of the day, I don't see how it can be done, without making it a lifestyle.
completely.
It's
Yeah.
not easy. It's not easy
And
to do a long fast and then go back to eating, and then do another long fast, go back to eating, and then
exactly.
I would
Yeah.
I would say make it a lifestyle where you eventually, like where you choose a couple of days a week
Yeah.
and just keep repeating every week.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Evaluate,
And
like look at it again, evaluate it after, let's say, at least 6 months of doing that,
yeah.
and then think about it again. Okay, am I happy with that? Do I want to increase and feel it more, or am I
Yeah.
happy where I am? And just
Completely. And then, so actually after my second fast, what really changed is that, so I mean, the post fast, I mean, it went okay. It didn't go too bad, but I did go into like veggies quite quickly. I did go into denser food a little bit more quickly than I should have, and maybe even cheated a bit more quickly than I should have. But I didn't actually. No, I remember at the beginning I digested it very well. But I remember, because I was traveling quite a bit again. Actually, stupid me. I should have learned, but whatever. And I've traveled a lot while fasting and while on the mucus-free diet and everything. And I can say that you just need to organize yourself. It's not too hard. Obviously, if you go into a country where there's no grape juice and it's hard to find any like similar juices, maybe you need to think of when you're going to do the fast, but whatever. But yeah, the 108 kind of scares me a little bit because I would need to get a bit organized. But I know it's something that it's now feels like a big thing, but when I'll do it, I'll just do it. But what I was saying is that after my second fast, after about 2 months of like post fasting, it became really natural for me, and I remember like being super happy about it, to fast every week. So I then started very naturally just doing 3 to 5 days of fasting, usually like Monday to Friday or Monday to Thursday, let's say. And then in the weekend I would eat. The only problem I have to say is that when I would eat, it wasn't just fruit. It wasn't like super bad stuff, but sometimes it was also mucus forming food, but usually it was non-mucus forming or like mucus lean. And then actually fats sometimes because often I was also not at home, like I was eating with friends and like at places. And in Italy, it's, like it's sometimes I notice as well, if I wasn't committed on the fast and if you're eating, it's harder to maintain that position of like, no, I'm just gonna eat this. Because you are a bit into, your one foot is into eating and one foot is into at least not eating as the others are eating. So it's quite easy to just lean on to, let's eat like the other ones, and then you kind of fall into that. But I realized very much that this like oscillation between, fasting and then maybe eating something that is quite dense, would just like slowly kind of the oscillation would just decrease so that I then find that middle way. And I also realized that what I really wanted to work on my fast was really the post fast, like learn to do that well. And then I can do the longer fast. I mean, you guys say it, I think many people say it. And it's just really something that resonates with me. And when I really got very, honest with myself and realized that it was also about days and not about the process itself, gosh, I just forgot what I was saying. Sorry, it's almost 3 a.m. here, and I've been awake since 6 a.m. What was I saying?
About the long fast and breaking.
I don't know, I don't remember. But then one thing that I wanted to add is also Britarians. They keep on coming into my life, knocking at the door, and I'm just like, no. But it's been, I don't know, like, I have to say, like, fasting is something that, like, the master fast is something that really made me realize what that Britarianism is real. Like, before that, my mind would be like, yeah, I could believe it, but within me, I think I didn't. But once I started, like, experiencing the fasting, I would kind of understand what is it that they do. And but then, because I can see myself, becoming that. I can definitely see myself, and I guess maybe I am on the road to becoming that. And whatever, like, who cares? I don't care about what it's going to be like. I care about what I'm doing now and the effects of it now.
We're all doing it part-time at different levels.
Exactly, yeah, completely. But then I do have to say, like, because for me, also being in the material world is something that I don't actually like so much. It's a bit hard to explain, but I've realized having also a very difficult relationship with my body was also because I was not comfortable. I don't know, like I don't feel like it's something so natural as it might be for other people. And so sometimes like practices where I would lose my body, like I used to have a lot of out of body experiences, quite like sometimes a bit violent ones as well, like where it's like I don't want myself to lose my body, also because I've gone into trauma. So that's something that I mean, sexual abuse when I was little, so that's something that I learned to do, to just get out of my body so that I wouldn't feel my body because of the pain. And and I could notice that with the fast, actually with the fast it's really interesting because, you know, the groundedness would be there, but then you go really into spirit, let's call it spirit, whatever you want to call it, but then still with the anchor of my feet on the ground. But still, like in some ways and sometimes I could sense myself being like, I love this, you know, I want to stay in this. And because if it was for me, I think I would really love just being on the Himalaya and like meditate all day. But I had to realize, I don't know how I realized this, maybe, I don't know, through a conversation, that I am in this world as a human body. And I also need to learn what it means to be in the material body as a human being. I don't know if it makes sense.
Yeah, it's like a fine line, right? Between
Exactly. Yeah.
It's an art.
Yeah. And so also kind of, this made me really, I'm saying this because of, you know, finding also a middle way. A middle way of like, you know, because I do love food. It's not that I hate food. I love it. But I've also, my perception of food has changed so much, where it's not anymore good or bad. It's really like the energetics of food. I think you guys speak about it. Probably other people speak about it. It's just like you start realizing that food has this energy, and you know, some foods have a higher frequencies. You know, I don't like talking about higher and lower frequency because it kind of again entails this like hierarchy, because we often, but yeah, so higher frequency, and then there's the food that is denser. And sometimes, I mean, I've even needed that denser food. Now and not anymore. Like now, you know, a veggie broth grounds me. It's like it's what maybe before used to be something way heavier. Now it's just
Yeah, so
yeah.
it's but I'm sure what you're eating is nowhere close to like in terms of obstructive food. It is nowhere near what you were used to eat before and what
Oh
you
no, no.
like.
Although I'll
And
be very honest. I'll be very honest. I freaking out. It was so annoying. I got into coffee again after my second after a while, like. But the last, like, before I got into this fast, the 3 months before, I got into coffee again. Because that's actually part of the same discourse. Because one day I kind of realized I took it as something that would serve me in that moment. I think I was working a lot and I was waking up at 4 a.m. or something. I had to drive. And someone offered a coffee and I was like, you know what? Actually, it could be a good time to have it. Freaking out. It was like, you know, I hadn't had it for ages. I think in that moment I realized what people say the effect of coffee can be, because I never used to feel it before. But I was like on cocaine. I was just like this and just like wire and like super chatty and like that and then this and then after a few hours I would just crash down and have this. That's where I realized like this is what everyone talks about.
yeah.
But then the problem is that because I was busy with work, you know, you try it once, you see the effect, it kind of helps you. Although, you know, I got a bit the anxiety of coffee as well. But then I started having it, you know, like after a few weeks, I got another one, and then it's easy to just get into it. And then now that I started having it every day, then I went to the States actually, and I actually suffered quite a bit from jet lag there. So I was like, fuck it, when I'm traveling, I'm gonna have coffee, and then I just had it. And by the way, the States was a really interesting experience because the fruit there wasn't that good. The Concord grape juice was great, um, but I didn't have access to it so easily all the time. And yeah, there I really felt like I needed to eat more vegetables, that way more veggies that I would eat for instance here in Italy. And yeah, so that was interesting. But what was I saying? Sorry, I'm typing. Brain farts. So,
Environments dictate outcome.
sorry.
Environments dictate the outcome. So
Oh,
environments
completely.
will
Yeah,
affect you differently.
Oh yeah.
completely. Yeah.
Especially when we're
And then yeah, so I got a bit addicted to that. And then the last 2 months before this fast, again, I was traveling quite a bit. I was in a bit stressful thing of this my current job, which is a really cool job for an amazing company, but yeah, the period was a bit stressful, and I traveled a bit, and I was not eating in the way that I would really like to eat, not badly, but you know, I would rather be like, if I'm at home, it's so easy to just have my juice, and you know, I live in alone in the countryside with no one around me, and that and like in nature, that really enables me to dive deep into fasting, fruit only or whatever. And sometimes that's not so doable when I'm elsewhere, and so I was a bit neglecting my body, and I kind of, yeah, the last month especially, I was feeling really heavy, and not like weight. I mean, I had a bit more weight, but like that's kind of become not an issue anymore in my life, which I'm really happy about, obviously, because overcoming something like that, I did overcome it a while ago, but then this whole journey helped me so much, because you kind of actually, as I mentioned in my slogan, whatever it's called, like what I've also learned so much is to love myself through this whole process. First of all, because you see the changes, you see the ups and downs, so you kind of start learning that that's a pattern, that's something that happens. And then also because I really saw how I needed to bring more femininity into my life, and just not be too disciplined, because I can be very disciplined, but in a, you know, self-detrimental, self-sabotaging kind of way. And I mean, I love you, Gina, but sometimes your influence isn't the best for me. But I learned to recognize that, because you know, I can follow that, you know, that you're a doer. You're a doer, and I can be too much of a doer and neglect my soul
He's the
sometimes.
man.
Yeah, exactly.
You gotta find your way.
Yeah, really. And because I think, you know, everyone needs to work with whatever imbalance they have. Some people
We do our
might
best to
be
bring both, you know, male and female energy, you know, into that.
exactly, and we all have both of them. It's not
Absolutely.
like we have just one or the other, but we might have one that is kind of a bit, you know, out of balance and working in a dysfunctional way. So and actually fasting, because also understanding that the intention you put behind fasting is so important. And when the intention is about self-love, like it just makes the fast 50 times more easy, I think. Because the moments when I was like, now you need to do this because you have to do this, whatever reason, then it would just become like hard, and somehow it just felt like I was like carrying something really, really heavy, instead of like now, for instance. And also every time I try to fast or do a master fast from my mind and not listening to my body, it wouldn't work. while if I just listen to my body like I just did now, it's like the easiest thing to do. It's like, the thing is not even that you're imposing it, it's like there's no other option. It's like you've expanded, I guess, your consciousness to a certain like knowledge or like, yeah, information that you can't even think of different things. And this is something that I really, because everyone tells me like, oh, you must have amazing willpower. No, it's nothing to do with willpower. It's all to do with,
No.
You cannot do your willpower. You cannot
no,
master fast with willpower. It's actually so easy that you definitely don't even need it.
yeah,
It's always hard to start the fast. There's no question about it. We all have a hard time starting a fast, and that's why we say it's a lifestyle. But once you pass, this first few days of a fast, you're good. Now, as a lifestyle, which is fasting eating on a regular basis, find your way, find your routine. Everybody
yeah,
has their own routine, but we put a little bit of structure so that you can, because sometimes we do need a structure.
yeah, completely.
And but find your own routine in it, and that takes a little bit of time. That takes maybe a few weeks, because you're fasting and breaking and fasting and breaking until you find your balance with it and you're happy about it. And then you will say, I am sure you will say, I love both fasting and eating. And that's very important. We have to love, everything. If we don't love everything, it's hard. We want to love both fasting and eating. And I
Yeah.
feel also when we want to let go of food, let's say any kind of like no food for 108 days or something, or longer. I think it's very important for us to still have the idea of, I still love food. I love food. I don't hate food. I don't yes, definitely food can be very obstructive, depending, some are more than others, but you can still eat and you can still have a really absolutely beautiful life, right?
Yeah,
Well, you have to find your balance.
yeah, and then because then it's really about becoming conscious about food and how you're eating. And like now, like what I notice completely that change as well is like I do check in with myself before eating something. It's like a scanning of like, oh, what's going on here, and then what's going on in the food. Not always, obviously, like I'm not yet at the stage where it's always, but I can notice it, like it's really happening. And then obviously I've made my mistakes of like, in the post fast where I would eat something, and I'm also pro making mistakes. Like, make your mistakes, because then you're gonna learn from those.
Yeah, just not big ones, because you can die breaking the fast incorrectly.
Yeah, obviously.
We don't want to,
Yeah.
so we have the protocol structured for that reason.
And please, like, I mean, you guys have saved me many years of like trying out many different fasts. So I could never really thank you enough for this, but it's just, yeah, like I can't actually even fathom someone doing it just once. I mean, I guess it's doable. Someone can do it that way, and people probably do. But it's definitely a lifestyle, and also it's a lifestyle that, and I've noticed it on myself, but on other people especially as well, that requires a lot of work on yourself. That is on the emotional side, on the energetic side, whatever you want to call it, but like it's not about food, and it's not about, it's really not about the physical, because you actually get, I don't know, you come out of the physical, you start understanding that everything is connected, and how can you not connect dealing with, I don't know, your traumas and issues, and your subconscious. Actually, this is another thing that I really noticed. It's like the connection between, I don't know if it's the mind or the subconscious, but in the fast becomes so much closer. Like it's just like I don't know, it's like I can send arrows into my subconscious and change my habits or put my intentions so that it really just goes there and it stays there. So I guess this is another way to say, like, if you want to change another habit of yours, not just the food, do it on a fast, because you're so more predisposed, predisposed, I don't know if you say that in English, to like make big changes. And obviously, because when you change one thing, you change everything in life. So, and then you're able to like to bring in, like, encompass more things that you want to change in life. But yeah, and then this fast, gosh, this week, what day is it today? Today is Saturday. Last week I had a during the new moon, I had this this like anger, rage crisis one day, and again I sat down with it. I was exhausted. I mean, I had driven like many, like, I don't know, 600, 700 kilometers. I was completely exhausted, and then other stuff, and then I just had this like crisis. I sat down with it. It just, it kind of went away after, like, breathing and everything. After 2 days, about 2 days, and it's been going on since then. Like, I've just been in euphoria, and I can't even describe it. It's like I'm in this like, I call them heartgasms, which, I mean, I get often nowadays, but like, I'm in so much love. It's crazy. Like, I even, I don't know, like, I've been, even the people that I've been having big issues, my boss and people like that, I've just sent them messages because I love them so much. And then it's like, I don't know, it's like life is just great. And then you get into this, I think I have had so much more energy, and I'm attracting so much into my life. And I don't know, people have even said it, like, my eyes are just like very bright, luminous, and I'm just in awe. I don't know how to explain it, like total joy and total I guess gratitude for life. I mean, these words are just so stupid because they don't even describe what you can feel. And the other day, because at the beginning I was like, is it because of some other reasons that have happened in my life? But then I was like, no, shit. This is the fast. And this is actually what I had tapped into in my life many, many years ago, a few times. Because when that one time when it kind of lasted for a while, and I don't know why I tapped into that in that moment. But this makes every freaking single sacrifice or like effort that I've ever done in my life for this journey so worth it. Like, this is, and I don't know, maybe I've never suffered so much as maybe other people have because of their health journeys. But if you can get to this, gosh, like, it's priceless. And I don't know even if I'm making sense anymore. I'm like, my brain is not really working anymore, and I'm just like blathering what I'm feeling. But it's crazy. And what's been amazing even more, it's like, it's so contagious. And the more it's contagious, the more it charges me. And it's just like, this is like a vicious circle of like, you emanate this, and then you see the effects of it, and then you're like, this is amazing, and it's just amazing. And I really want to say, it's not that my life is perfect, like, but it's just the problems they just feel like little things that are gonna make my life a little bit more amusing and entertaining and not boring, I guess.
Well, what's your plan for after this one? So you're thinking 40 days for this one?
Yeah, so I'm thinking 40 days, maybe a few days more, let's see. And then, wait, what month are we in? We're in November. I mean, I love January usually. for fasts, but I will need to listen to my body.
But in terms of lifestyle,
In terms of, I mean, mucusless.
yeah, and are you going to incorporate some fasting as well?
Oh yeah, like I want to move more and more into, you know, master fast 5 days, 2 days fasting. Sorry, 2 days eating, something like that. And then maybe I would kind of want to start trying, you know, almost half a month fasting, half a month maybe eating. I want to start experimenting these things.
Yeah.
Obviously, depending on also what's happening in that month. I don't want to, like, you know, always need to be like, if there's some sort of social event where I don't want to be completely the different one that is not eating. Because even now in this fast, I had so many events where there was, you know, I was with people for like 4 days here and there and there, and like they would be eating, which went completely fine. Actually, I have to say in the last year especially, I've started getting people into fasting. It's been amazing. I think I've referred a lot of people into the master fast, and I don't try and be someone who tells you what to do. That's your job. I also don't want to take that responsibility, but I've become someone who they can call if they need support, if they need someone to just like be there for them, because I received that support myself, and if I can give it back, for me it's like it's the biggest gift I can give to myself, to be honest. Because I know that the more it's not that I give because I want to get, but I know that the more I've been giving in this way, the more just it kind of multiplies and comes back to me. And then also what I notice is that because this has become so much part of my consciousness, that's why it's affecting people now. While at the beginning, the first year, it wasn't really, it was, you know, adjusting into it. People were a bit like, like, you know, maybe not so interested. Now it's like, what are you doing? You know, what's going on with you? Like, I want to do what you're doing. Or like, you know, and then I just explain my experience, because that's the only thing I can talk about. Like, I could never speak from anyone else's experience. I can speak only from mine. I'm no teacher. That this is something that is so important that I've realized, because I've also kind of seen other stuff. But I just activate, like Eric did. What he did was he activated knowledge that I already had inside of me, but I had completely forgotten about it. You probably guys say this already. So if my experience can be that for you, like, that's, you know, I can die now and I'm happy. And that's actually another thing. In the last like few weeks, I just felt like I could. It sounds a bit morbid to say probably, but like, I'm ready to die. If I need to go away, like, from this physical thing, I'm ready. Like, I'm completely serene with my life. And it's just, yeah, it's undescribable. It's, I mean, yeah, like, I mean, I studied philosophy and the limits of philosophy in like expressing existence. But when you're fasting, you realize it even more, even if you're not a philosopher. It's like, you just can't explain. Like, we're not, this mind is not meant to understand these things. And even what I notice as well is that I've stopped judging so much like the others, because at the beginning it's like, oh wow, you found the way. Why don't people understand it? But then you, like, now I've really realized everyone is on their journey. This shouldn't be a dogma neither for me. Like, this is right for me. It doesn't mean that it's right for you. Or just, it might be right for you, but it's not what you're into.
Yeah.
So, and this is also something completely important. Like, for me, it's really important to kind of, well, it was a good lesson as well. And God, I mean, I could speak ages about these things. It's amazing.
That's awesome.
Is maybe if
You're doing
anybody,
great. You're doing absolutely amazing. Good job.
if anybody has any questions.
Hi, Nora.
Hi.
I'm Angelica. Great to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
And and thank you so much for sharing. What a beautiful expression of life, and and the place that you're at right now. So wise for such youth. And I do have a few questions I want to ask you.
Yeah.
I'm very curious. I hear that your mom brought you up very well, and as natural as her that she lived, as natural as she lived. And I did not hear anything about vaccination, so I was just curious if ever in your life you got vaccinated.
Yeah, I did. I think I did get I don't even know, but the basic ones. And yeah, I did. I had to, because in Italy they're mandatory. Like you don't go into school if you don't get vaccinated. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so you got those during childhood, and then after that, you didn't have any.
And then done. Yeah. I also had contraception. I mean, I use contraception. Sorry, contraception. Is it contraception in English? Like the pill?
Contraceptive, I believe.
Yeah, yeah. And that fucked me up actually quite a bit. I mean, I was on the pill for a bit, and then I started having this. No way. Then that was when I was 16 about. But then I gained a bit of weight, and then it made me feel horrible and like completely like swing moods. And the moment I stopped, I wasn't craving some foods, and like I got back to my normal weight and whatever. But then I got into like the ring, so like the contraception that would release only estrogen, and I started having what it is, migraines, really bad migraines from that after like a month or something. Like I remember one morning I was living alone, 6 a.m. I had this like I couldn't move, I couldn't see anything. I had to call my mom and like ask her to come and bring me like paracetamol or something, like a painkiller, because I could just not move. And then my doctor then like made me stop taking them because they realized that the estrogen was not good for me. My body was just reacting to it. And then I went in, well, I did other contraception and then I quit it. I actually quit it in a stupid way, not finishing the cycle. And then I didn't have my period for a year. So that was, at the beginning I loved it, but then I started realizing how bad that was and how like unhealthy and how unbalanced that was on my body, for my body. And so for me also working on getting back my period was something that I put as one of my intentions even on the fast. And the first fast obviously I didn't have my period, but the second and third fast, I think I wrote a post about this recently, I got my period. And I just got it actually back again, and it's I'm so happy about it, because for me it's, sorry.
After the period after your first fast, you also didn't have your period, and
So
then
no, I didn't. Yeah, I didn't for a while.
While you were fasting, you started having your period.
Yeah, so on my first fast I didn't have it, and then for the like post fast neither. But then on my second fast it came, like after a few days it arrived. And then after I fasted as well, and then I kind of stopped again, and then it was a bit irregular. Like, although I started realizing that I was having my period, I was just not bleeding. I started also taking my basal temperature, like checking the patterns of like
Ovulation.
Yeah, ovulation and so on. So like understanding my body more without even bleeding, because we just look at the bleeding without realizing that actually not bleeding or not bleeding that much is quite good. But it depends. Like we're all different. We're all in different situations with our bodies. So, but yeah, sorry, I went off on a tangent.
No, and it's interesting you say that, because I know someone who got on contraceptives, and I believe it was the injection in the arm where they don't have their
Oh,
period
yeah.
frequency. I think it's something like that, and she ended up having issues with her cysts,
Oh,
or with her ovaries. I believe she had cysts,
yeah.
and then and her skin was so blemished, and I believe she broke out really bad, and then was told that she couldn't have children. But now she has a family, so that,
Yeah.
I guess that's not necessarily true. And but I heard you say things about, your skin and, the ovaries, and you mentioned the contraceptives.
Yeah. Oh, completely. I mean, also, like all these things, I mean, this is something that I always kind of thought. They've been out here. I mean, contraceptives and so on. I don't know, some for a few decades, but some for like not even a decade. And we're going to be the ones who are going to suffer the consequences once they realize the side effects. And it's then also, by the way, my mom is a pharmacist, which is crazy because she actually helps people not to get like drugs. She offers them. She's amazing. She offers them some like someone who just listens to them for 5 minutes more than a normal pharmacist would, and even a doctor would, asking them, why are you taking this? Are you sure you want to take it? Do you know that you could try this and this, and then maybe lower your doses and see how you feel? And many people do that, and they change. She changes their lives. And now then she was even asked to do a talk to some pharmacists, and she did it, and because she even said it, like, it's not that my pharmacy, so my boss is losing clients. Actually, the clients are coming to us because they like me, and they find a person they can talk to and can listen to them, instead of just someone who's selling them like drugs just like that. And yeah, so yeah, that's also really cool. But yeah, she's a pharmacist, and she even says it, like, I don't think there's any drug that has at least 30% side effects. Usually it's like at least 50-50, if not more. And it's crazy. And we keep on taking this shit. And then like with this, because by the way, like even after my fast, after like cleaning up quite a bit, obviously, never being pristine clean, whatever, but I was like, I'm gonna do some experiments on my body, because I don't know. I don't want to just read the information. I kind of, some of them I want to try them. I don't want to try the bad ones. But I was like, okay, try and like put some sugars into your diet. Try and have sugary stuff. Boom, monkey mind, immediately, just like this and this, like doubts, thoughts, anxieties, and stuff that I would never think of, just like come in. And then with bread, I remember being like numbed, just like everything becomes slower and like just, I don't know, yeah, numbing, very numbing. Yeah, like ketamine, like what they use for horses, for tranquilizing horses. It's just, and then you start seeing this, and then obviously, I mean, I come also from a sociology and critical theory background, but this kind of makes sense. It's like oppression comes through, lobotomizing people, keeping them sick, but not sick enough. And like, we have the science that could make one pill into the pill that could save all your, problems. But obviously, selling one pill only is not, it's not profitable enough. We want to make people dependent on pills. So we give them a pill that gives them a little bit of like a, how do you say, like guilt. Yeah.
I've never seen that magic pill.
Yeah, me neither. But maybe they don't have it. But they probably have the knowledge to get that. But it's not.
knowledge. I don't think they have the knowledge.
Maybe they don't, yeah. But it's
They have
just,
the knowledge. It's going back to nature. Yeah, maybe they have read it. I'm sure they're not stupid. But
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 it,
yeah,
yeah.
that's the only knowledge, in my opinion, out there.
Not in chemistry, that's for sure.
I studied science, and we learn nothing about the body's ability to heal itself. So this
Yeah,
information is not there for sure.
yes.
And over there, it's all artificial.
Yeah,
Very
completely.
artificial.
Completely. Yeah, and I mean,
That's
there's
artificial.
there's such a disconnection with knowledge. I know my mind is very much fully macroscopic. I like seeing things from like, not from above, yeah, kind of like connecting things. I love when I manage to connect certain things. And yeah, with fasting, you just do, like, because you connect yourself to nature. It's like, it's not a separate thing anymore. And also one thing that I have to say that is also an outcome of this lifestyle is, okay, I can probably say this with you guys, but I can talk with plants. It's like, plants are freaking amazing. They're the funniest thing ever. They're so playful. We don't even realize they're so good at taking life lightly as well. They're some of the best listeners ever. If you need a psychotherapist, go into a freaking forest and talk. Honestly, it's amazing. And yeah, and like and also another thing actually that I noticed on my second fast, gosh, people are gonna think I'm crazy, but whatever. I am crazy. Towards the end, I could read people's minds. It was hilarious because we actually did, well, some tests. With some friends, I could really like sense what they were thinking. Not everything, obviously, but quite a bit. And yeah, it was pretty interesting.
More connected to them.
Yeah, completely. And yeah, I mean, there's so many benefits. Everything. Oh yeah, and one thing actually, because I had to work quite a bit on my second chakra, and I did, like, in the last 2 years I also focused quite a bit on that, and in this fast my libido is still like pretty high. Like, I mean, I kind of unblocked it because it had went down for quite a bit, but also with that old job, like all the stress had kind of, libido was the last thing I was thinking about because my body wasn't in shape to like even fathom that sometimes. And then yeah, started working on that, and then now in the last few months, it's like, since actually the beginning, so yeah, since the second fast, it started like slowly to really come back. It's like a flame that just has like grown and grown. And what's been crazy is that in this fast, like, it's not gone away. It's not like, something, it's not an urge, but if I have a stimulus, it's like, it's there, and then I can feel my body more, so it's just like the pleasure is just way better. It's like, it's amazing. So yeah, that's another thing I wanted to mention.
I do have another question for you.
Yeah.
What is the heaviest you've been? What is your height and the heaviest you've been? The lightest you've been, and what is it now?
So good question. I can say in kilos.
Yeah.
Yes, I guess you can convert it later.
Yes, and in centimeters. So I'm 180, so I'm pretty tall. That, I think, 5'11", I think it is. And do you mean on a fast, in my lowest, or even in my normal life?
In general, in your life.
I think my lowest, what I weighed, which was quite low, was 54 kilos, which wasn't on a fast. It was actually when I was a bit in my eating shit. And my highest has been, I think, 68 at some point.
Was that on a fast? No.
No. This was way before. Then on a fast, I think I dropped, on my first fast, I dropped to 57, which is a little bit underweight, but it's not even, too problematic for me. Like it's on the, I don't care about the BMI scale, whatever, that diagram. Do you use it in the
It's taught here in the United States. Yeah.
I mean, not that it really makes, like, it really helps, but I was underweight, but not too much. Now I haven't weighed myself. I think I weighed myself last week, but I'm 60. I've lost 2 kilos maybe in 1 month. But I mean, I've lost, like, the puffiness has gone away, because the last month I got a little bit, like, I could see from my face that, like, I was getting toxic, I guess. I don't know how to explain it.
Inflammation.
Yeah, inflammation. Yeah, exactly. Sorry. Because I don't go so much into the whatever. But yeah, that's gone away in my face and in my body. But then I haven't, like, if I weigh myself, I don't weigh that much less. You can see on my body that I probably, I've lost a bit. But you can't tangibly on a scale, you can't see it. And also I don't really care. It's like the feeling I have is way better.
Yeah, definitely.
But
Okay.
like, for instance, my ex-boyfriend, he fasted for 2 weeks. He lost 10 kilos in 2 weeks. So I really noticed how, like, some people can lose so much weight. Yeah.
Gino says the more you lose, the more you need to fast.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, yeah. Yeah, I've always said, that's stuff that your body needs to get rid of. So you should do. But I have to say, he looked pretty scary. So, because his eyes just went in, like, oh, it was a bit. So, and I think even, actually, I remember one person telling me, like, now that I see someone who's fasting and doesn't look, anorectic, you make me want to try to fast. So I was like, thank you. At least I'm doing some good here. But I've never, like, lost too much weight. But
Well,
I think, yeah,
a lot of it attributed to how you grew up, right? You didn't grow up on junk.
Yeah, like, absolutely. And actually about it, I think I realized that I'm preparing, because I think I'm kind of getting towards maybe wanting to become a mother at some point, whether that's going to be, my own kid or the mother of a group of students, whatever. It doesn't matter what the universe brings, it's what it needs to bring. But I've had often this, I think, dreams and visions sometimes where I see myself as being this transitional generation that is kind of like plowing the earth and putting the seeds down with cleaning my body so that I can give birth to, I guess, someone who has a little bit less toxicity in their body. And I feel that that's, for me, also being a service for the future generations. So, and that kind of makes me even more committed. It's like part of the commitment that I have into this whole lifestyle, because this is the future. And this sounds a bit marketing saying that this way, but this is the future. Like either it's down or it's this way. That's how I feel. I don't know. Not everyone needs to agree.
I say, honestly, when I talk about fasting, like especially the master fast, it's like the best fast that I know, of course. And I say it's like all the good things in life,
Yeah.
Like, think about something good. To me, I feel it when I'm fasting.
Yeah. Completely.
Yeah. All the good things in life, more motivation, inspiration, spiritual energy, productivity, creativity, like all the good stuff, like
Completely.
marketing or not, I don't care. I mean,
Yeah.
so much.
It's true. No, it's true. Yeah.
I mean, I saw the potential from the beginning when I did it 4 years ago. I saw the potential immediately.
Yeah.
I fell in love with master fast, and Yeah, from the beginning, for sure. 4 years ago, I was sold.
Yeah, completely. Yeah, I mean, it is. Yeah, it's something. I don't know. For me, it's not even the mind so much that manages to say, "This is what you need to do." It's just like the body. The body just brings me to it.
Yeah,
And
it's not the information, of course we read the information, okay, this is interesting.
oh, that's so important. Yeah.
But once you experience
Yeah,
it,
you have to train the mind first, completely. Like you have to, especially with something like this, because I mean, you guys, you were saying water dehydrates you. At the beginning, I was like, what the hell? Like I had freaking bought a 3,000 euro water filter, and you're telling me that the water is dehydrates you, and I was like, oh no. But then I realized what you meant, and I was like, damn it. Yeah.
sell water filters. He still
Oh my God.
installed them to all his family and friends. Yeah,
Yeah.
he was a big fan of water.
Yeah.
Over 2 decades of research on water.
Like
And then,
now, like if you
Find
see
out we don't need it. It's good for washing. That's all we need.
some bottles we have, like for example, love water, love and gratitude. For example, he has labels written on them.
oh yeah.
She as well. Like he has everything. Everything you can think of that has to do with water. He has.
We love water.
Yeah, we love water. We use it for tea, anyways.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah, completely.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, and how how liberating it is that you don't have to drink water all the time and just
It's about liberation.
yeah, completely. Yeah, and even I mean the fasting. Actually, some days because I didn't have so much money those days, I was like, I'm just gonna fast. So it freaking saves you tons of money as well. Actually, I forgot. Thank you for reminding me. I do want to make a cost evaluation of what it means to be fasting and non-fasting, because I want to get the statistics out as well, even the financial benefits of it, like as well. So yeah, I mean, yeah, there's so many benefits.
Yeah.
It's a bumpy road, and it's hard, and it requires commitment, and it requires looking at yourself for real, and just like completely unlearning whatever you have learned for so long, and completely debunking, taking away all the foundations that you have, like just forget about those. And I understand that not everyone is ready for that. I mean, astrologically speaking, even there's people that are more prone to it and less prone to it. But it's something that you really need to try.
Yeah, I think like maybe somehow transform what we have learned rather than like throwing it in the garbage.
Oh yeah, true.
Easier process.
That's a better way to put it.
Yeah, I mean, like there's so much wisdom that we have learned before master fast, before fasting in general.
Yeah.
And
brainwashing, not wisdom.
I mean, there is some wisdom for sure, and we keep building and learning and removing what doesn't serve us and bringing more of
the wisdom doesn't come from the intellect, and that's what we've been bought and sold.
Yeah, but you have to learn something initially, and there is some stuff that we learned are not too bad, like
yeah. And also, I mean, whatever I did before got me to here, so
yeah, exactly.
That's I have respect my journey, everyone's exactly, yeah, completely.
Yeah, but you have to be open-minded.
But then it's
because it's you have to be open-minded enough, because the change is too much when you're fasting. It's not like when you're changing your diet. It is much more when you're fasting.
Yeah, completely. No, completely. And it just and like it changes your perception of everything. But you need to be ready to to change that.
Yeah, expansion of the awareness. That's awakening of the awareness, expansion.
Moving obstructions.
Learning how to, you know, go within and listen to that inner being, which is the soul.
Yeah, but even, and then I have to say also, like, at the beginning you feel lonely, but the people are gonna come into your life. When you expand, like I mean, this is at least my experience, and no, I don't think it's only my experience, but the moment where I felt like, you know, oh my God, I'm this weirdo that is doing, obviously I had online friends, but you need the physical ones as well. At least that's how I feel. But it's just the universe just brings them to you in some way or the other.
You know, we connect every Saturday, huh? But
Yeah.
it's 3 a.m. for you, so.
It's, yeah. I'm like, I hope I made sense, because I yeah. And because it is a bit late and I can feel it. Oh yeah, and by the way, in the fast, I sleep like a freaking baby. It's so nice. It's just like, and it's great because like I have energy, but then when I realize that I need to go to bed, ping, I go to bed and I just sleep.
Yep.
And it's just, yeah, it's great. It's really good. There's nothing bad that can be said about.
Did you measure your height? Did you have any change in your height?
No, but no, but I'm gonna check myself. I need to find a meter because I don't know where I have
People
one.
who've done the longer full MFSs have expanded.
Yeah. I saw this one girl that it's like 5 centimeters or inch, not 5 inches, 2 inches probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing.
It's a lot.
That's a lot. Yeah, I've said that to people. You know, you can grow when you fast. Yeah, but I haven't noticed. I should check, definitely. I should try and check and see how.
To notice, you have to check.
Yeah.
That's how people find out.
Yeah, I should have. But yeah, I mean, I'll do so many fasts in my life that I'll check in the next ones as well. Yeah, this is life.
Yeah.
Completely.
Lifestyle. When you love something, you know you're going to continue doing it. If you don't love it, you're not going to do it.
Yeah, completely.
Doesn't matter if you're in your deathbed, you're not going to do it.
Yeah.
You'll die.
There are people who
you will not give up your pasta or your meat or whatever.
Some people don't want to change.
That's
great.
And they don't realize how bad it is until they're dying. It's pretty sad.
Yeah. And then suddenly it's like, yeah, you have to try something.
Hi, Nora. Thank you so much for sharing.
Thank you.
So openly and so intelligently. Oh my goodness, you're smart.
Thank you.
You're such an intellect. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you sharing. And I wanted to ask you, you said something about doing perhaps another 108 or 108. And I was wondering, have you done any lifestyle master fasting or?
So I mean, I haven't done 108 yet. I've only done 40 ones.
Oh, sorry, I missed that.
Yeah, and then I need to actually reread the other protocols and try and see maybe how, because it does help to have the structure, you know, saying to myself, maybe we could do those days. But one thing that I was really liking was just, you know, 5 days of eating, non-eating, and 2 days of eating, kind of like non-eating in the week, when I'm at home and working and on my own, and then weekends that I might see people, and it's, you know, food is often involved in social situations. I can have the food.
So are you saying, just for clarity, that you have yet to look at the lifestyle, the new protocol, Master Fast Lifestyle?
I think, what is it? Yeah, can you? I haven't been much on
Oh, like the different, okay, so there's different levels, because I was curious because you were saying you wanted to shoot for a 108, so I wanted to know if you had considered
she already did, she has been doing lots of fasting per week.
Okay.
But
oh yeah, so I've been doing the once per week a lot before this fast in this year, especially this summer, like 3 months quite solidly. I was, doing max 3 days a week. I'm sorry, max.
Nice.
Yeah. So
That's
that was,
amazing.
and it just happened naturally, which was something that I was really happy about. It wasn't like, oh, now you're gonna do it. But then moving on my own really helped in that. Because when I was living in the other house with people, it was intense sometimes, but not even because of seeing the food, but because of, I don't know, like if you feel like not drawn, but like you're taken by the other's energies.
So many different energies in one place. Yeah, it can be difficult. We already have to deal with that when we go out into the world.
Yeah.
Well, and then when you eat on those 3 days, are you eating within like a few hour window, or are you eating all day long, or?
No, I mean, I've maintained my dry fast like almost all the time, except for the last 2 months. I have to say I got a little bit worse on that. And maybe they were more like 12-hour rather than 14 to 18 hours.
Okay. Cool.
But yeah, I do. I mean, the dry fast, the intermittent dry fasting is kind of part of the diet constantly, of the lifestyle.
Interesting.
So, because it just feels good, to be honest. And it just feels good.
I'm so happy for you. And where you're living too sounds so beautiful in the country.
If any of you is going through Tuscany, let me know.
Ooh, yes, please.
It's like it's amazing. If I can share this beauty with other people, I'm just super happy.
We can have a tincture party. We were talking about that for when Ranjit comes to Toronto. We all want to have a master fast tincture party.
Why don't you do a festival, like, or something, a master fast gathering or whatever?
Yeah, it's gonna happen just naturally.
Yeah.
Now that we're all connecting like this, I hope you'll be on these Zoom calls on Saturday, Nora. You're such a sweetheart. Thanks for answering my questions, hey?
You should make them a little bit earlier. Because it's I think it is.
Oh, they do the Tuesday ones now with Ranjit, right, for Europe?
Oh, super.
Yeah.
These are
I have to say, I think I mentioned it in one of my posts. I haven't really been so active online because I just can't be bothered to be on my computer. And I mean, I already use it for my work quite a lot. So like often I don't want to stay on it more and more.
I felt the exact same until I went for a colonic with Rana, and she was like, we would love to see you on Saturday nights. And I'm like, oh no, okay, what's this gonna mean? More staring at a computer screen. And I thought, you know what, I'll give it a couple tries. It's been the best support for me. Like, it's just, this is our little family and we're just so cute. I love all of us.
I've been saying it since I've known you.
Yes. Yeah, she's been motivating me for a long time. So don't worry, Nora. I feel you on that.
Yeah.
No. We support you whatever you decide.
Thank you. No, but I should try this because it's so nice to chat with people that understand completely what you're doing.
Yeah, we will look into maybe moving it a little bit. Well, we'll see what we can do.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
And Nora, I don't know if you can hear me okay, but you're just such a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful soul. You're just so wonderful. I just love listening to you. I haven't got any questions for you. I don't think you're crazy, sweetheart. I think you're just so open energetically. You got so much going for you. You know, you could give me goosebumps just listening to you. And I feel everything that you were saying, and that how the energies open up. And I loved how you touched on the libido, because I want to talk a little bit more about that next week. and especially for women, you know, and how that happens for us, and going on this journey, everything opens up so beautifully. And on the journey, every part of it's just so precious. Even the challenges and even everything that comes up to the surface is just an absolute grace for everything that we go on this journey for in service. So I love how you talked about that, and I loved your mind, Nora. You got such a way to really express
you know, this journey and the way that you put it into words. And it's so grounding. It's definitely your talent. You've definitely got a skill and a talent in that area. And like what I think even Rana mentioned, you know, everything that we have learned and gained from the past, there's skills and talents that have been placed in us when we were born through our personality, and that always stays with us. And then when you come on this journey of opening ourselves up and being in our true purpose of the divine and through the soul, that all just blossoms out to something that's just so real and purposeful, and allows the service just to happen just so gracefully without effort. And the way you spoke today was completely without effort. You were just so in the zone for all of us. It's just so wonderful, and the energy is great. And I love our little gathering today. I know I pumped up a little bit of goddess energy in our chat line, but when we can't come over next year, because there's nothing like a little bit of goddess love and some tincture love with women, and to you know, bring that through, because women, as you know, have been oppressed for so many generations. You know, we've been suppressed. It's this, and fasting allows this to open up and allow that female part of us, you know, we're both male and female, but that female part of us to express and heal our generations from the past and now in the future. So it's just such a really warm, beautiful way of listening to you, and just touched my heart. And you are so open energetically. You would be amazing doing a long digestive rest. I would love to do a long digestive rest with you. Well, I'm on a long digestive rest anyway. But anyway, I'd love to be part of that journey with you if you did that, and be part of these field strengths that we have here, and it's gaining stronger and stronger. I just really love you, sweetheart. You're a beautiful goddess. You're just so beautiful. Thank you for sharing and giving in the infinity loop. There's nothing more we can do, is it? It's just to give in these moments of flow. They're just such blessings, and everyone here gains, and everyone that's going to listen to you, you're going to be such an inspiration. Love you, sister. Please come on more. Please come on the group more. I love to feel, you're great. Yeah.
No, absolutely.
Thank you. Mwah.
I would love to. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, sometimes I'm also a little bit shy. But yeah, I mean, also it's mainly because I'm not on Facebook much at all. Just like, you know, checking the notification, and that's it.
Yeah. So. Thank you so much for making, you know, despite the fact that you're not on Facebook so much anymore, you accepted to come here and
it's a pleasure.
Tonight to do an interview with us. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
You know, the thing that you mentioned about, you know, you started listening to your body, you know, this is what a lot of people fail to do. You know, they go back into the eating cycle, and they just eat and eat and eat. No matter how bad they feel, they continue to eat. But whereas you pull back, say, well, I mean, I got to fast a couple of days here and there because it feels much better. And that's all it's about, connecting back with that, because the food is not going to do it for you. The fasting will. The food is the obstructive nature in all levels. So once we start opening up and expand awareness and start listening by going within, it just carries on from there. And it happens naturally for some of us.
Absolutely. Yeah, completely. And the body says fast.
Yeah.
So,
time to fast.
Yeah, time to fast. So,
or give it a kiss and fast, you know? Kiss
your exactly. So, and I can't not listen to it. Yeah. And I mean, and if I don't listen to it, then I'm just gonna, you know, fall down and kind of hit my head and be like, you see, I told you. But
it's a journey of self-love, isn't it?
Yeah, completely. Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, also I have to say one last thing. It's so much about self-love that even when you eat and you eat something that you shouldn't be eating, but if you really do it, like I did my experiments, as I said, and one of them was I did this week with my girlfriends, and you know, it was going to involve a bit of partying and like drinking and eating. Well, they eat quite cleanly, but not the way I eat. But then I said to myself, like, if you're going to have that food and whatever, you're just going to, if you judge it, you're not going to have it. If you don't judge it and you love yourself for having it, then you can have it. And because I did it with such like enjoyment and love for myself, it didn't do anything. Not a hangover, not a like any problem. Obviously, like it lasted, I don't know, 5-6 days. Then I started feeling a bit my body getting, you know, like a little bit of mucus and being like, oh, now it's time to stop. And then I stopped, and I think I had maybe 1-2 days of feeling kind of like I needed to detox it, and obviously I had to detox it after. But that time, like while before, maybe if I had half a beer, I would have already immediately a headache. But also because I was like, oh, why did you have it? And blah, blah, blah. While this time is like, if you have something, fully have it. Completely, like give yourself to it completely. And then it's not going to be as bad to you as you know, as you think you would, or at a moment. But yeah, that was like, that really showed me how the intention of what you do and how you do it is like the most important thing ever. Same with fasting. If you're doing it to make yourself sacrifice, or like if you're coming from sacrifice and discipline, and just like too much discipline and I don't know, scarcity, then it's gonna just ruin you completely. Yeah. And it's easy to say, but sometimes I don't know.
It takes time to learn.
Yeah, it takes time. It takes time to fully undress yourself in front of yourself, in front of the mirror, to yourself. It's scary. It's freaking scary. But once you start doing it, then it becomes easier and easier, and then
it's faith.
Yeah, completely. So
Awesome.
cool. Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah, I look forward to.
We're so happy that we finally met you. It's been what, 2 years?
Yeah, it's been a while. Yeah, thank you for insisting a little bit, Rana. I'm a bit bad at answering messages sometimes. So yeah, thank you so much. This was so nice, and I didn't really prepare because I was just like, just speak from my heart, from your heart, and it was really easy with you. I felt like I was really welcomed here, so that's so important.
Beautiful. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Well, I'm gonna go to bed because it's 4 a.m.
All right, guys.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Bye. Have a good day.
Have a great
Bye.
Thank you, everybody. Nice to see everyone. Love you all so much. Have a fantastic week.
Love, my
Oh,
love.
God, I love you so much. Oh, yes. Bye. Love you, Nora. Sweetheart. Bye.
Bye, Ranjit. Love you.
Oh, Angelica, you too, you gorgeous. Where
Big
are you?
hug.
Oh,
Big
God.
hugs for
Look at
you.
Oh, there you are. And Elaine, where are you? And Jeanette. Hello, hello. Look, all these beautiful people. It's so wonderful.
And the
Always on
kitty,
call.
Susan Kitty. Love you, Kitty. Thanks for featuring her or him.
My sister, Rana. How are you? Mwah, mwah, mwah. Gino, my brother. Mwah, mwah. That's a lot of loving, isn't it?
Jeanette, you're so beautiful. Love you, girl.
Love you.
Thank you, Rana. Thank you, Gino, for putting this together. Love you both. Mwah.
You're welcome. Thank you guys for joining
Thank you.
us and keeping your energy.
No, I'm on next week.
Next week.
So it's all going to be juicy good.
Woo-hoo.
I'm bringing it.
Hi, John. We missed your face.
Yeah, where is John?
Hey everybody, what's going on?
Oh, there he is.
I'm right here.
Hello, John.
Hey, John.
I've been prepping my fantasy party for the real world. So I haven't been around that much, but no, everything's good. That was amazing. This Zoom was awesome. Thank you. Definitely awesome. Just the way she explained it, and it's going to be awesome. I was shocked when there was like 56 people on watching when I tagged in. Pretty cool.
Oh, neat.
Yep.
Yeah.
See you guys next week. I love you. I got to run.
All right, guys.
Thanks for everything.
Good day, good afternoon, wherever you are. Ciao, ciao.
Good night.